So that's the first seven-sided form I found in clay, and then when I made it really pretty and big and artistic, I found out this is what it looks like, and this is coming from the Saturn Capitol. The Saturn Capitol has 7 faces, but it also has these angles, if you remember. It also has a seed. The real Steiner called that a seed, but in the Capitol it comes way out to out here because it has to support the building. The sculptor doesn't. Okay, so then what I did is I made this, these are all triangles here. It doesn't look like it, but these are basically triangles here. There's one here, and there's one here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I found out there were 6 all over the place, and 7 times 6 is 42, so I made a sculpture that had 42 triangles. This gives you the inside look. See, this is artistic, this is subjective. And then this is what it looks like with just equilateral, not equilateral triangles, but all triangles. There are 42 of them. So what I did is I took plaster of Paris and I filled these cavities, okay? And this is what I got. I got a 7-sided form. Now this 7-sided form has 7 surfaces that are equal. Just like that paper that I showed you here on the square root. The surface areas have this amount of numbers. They're perfect. This is the perfect form. It has perfect 7-sided equal surface areas. Now this is a 3-dimensional projected geometry of the form in 3 dimensions. So here's the form in here. There's the triangle and there's the quadrilaterals. And if I extend this out, I get the perfect quadrilateral. This is the kite shape right here, perfect. And I found out that it stellates out here. The film doesn't show it. But the bottom has this triangle. And these points here are from here to here. That's why this circle looks bigger than these points. This is the art that I go through to try to discover what this is, what it's all about. And then I also have more of my art here. This is where I'm figuring and thinking. And this is where I'm putting it into science, putting it into projective geometry. There's the form again. These are all the different studies. And then this one, I found out that the relationship between the circle that goes around the sphere and the circle that comes out from the projection is the size of the moon. Here I put 2 of them together with the sphere. And I did this because I wanted to know, you know how everything is dual? So you have a top and a bottom and 2 horns, whatever. I tried to figure this out and I found out this related to the Van Allen belts. I put 4 of them together, and then I put 8 of them together. This is 8 7-sided forms and projective out to points. Okay. Now I'm in galleries. I show my work in galleries, and it shows these guys how big they are. It shows all kinds of stuff. I also hang a picture of Rudolf Steiner up, and everybody, who's that guy? He doesn't look like you. And here's one that moves. It'll show you more and more of what goes on in this place. Not too much, but a little bit. And here again is this, because when I spin it, it turns into a bell. And I have to, this is upside down, of course, I have to make it geometrically perfect. Okay, I have to draw it up so it's perfect. And there it shows you the 2 forms that I spun. This concaves when it spins, really neat. So those are the 2 forms together. And here I have to make it geometrically perfect, so I'm drawing the forms that spin. I measure them to make sure it's correct. This is points only, and I spin this guy. Look what he does. Whole new research here I haven't even touched. What are those black lines? What is going on? There are some really beautiful things going on here in this one. Look at that. Now here's this one. I spin this one. Look at that. What's going on there? What's happening with those circles? You notice that they're making almost a venturi. How can that happen in this form? Okay, then I made it mirrors only. Mirrors only. Yeah? And I spun it with mirrors, and you can see the etheric. That's not amazing? This is regular light with a black background. Okay. Okay, so I got to deal here with this bell, okay? So I compared it to the Russian bell. The Russian bell is supposed to be the expert bell, the most perfect of all the bells throughout history. So I went to a Russian bell expert, and he told me that it is the perfect bell. And I said, well, how'd you do it? He says, well, we've been working on it 2,000 years. I said, well, do you know the geometry? No, we've never known the geometry of the bell. That's why this guy was so interested in what I was doing. So I said, well, how'd you do it then? He says, trial and error. Now, what's interesting, this is an etheric bell. The shoulder from here to here is the same as this Justahedron bell. The height is the same. Okay, this angle is the same, but this has a bigger curve. Now, I don't know what this sounds like, but it's going to be, and this also has the same proportion of 4:1. Why it has 4:1 is because that's the blood, which I could show you later. Anyway, so here what happened was this Angus Gordon has lives in England, and he's developed 4 colleges. He's on his 4th college. The 3rd one is in Sheffield. The first one is in his hometown. Another one is a glass house where he converted it for students to work on glass. And this 3rd one is called, it's called Freeman College, and it's all about metal. The first one is biodynamics. The second one is glass. Next one is metal. The next one will be for women who are giving away their children at a high rate in this one town, and he's developing this center, this college, so they can go and learn about children and how to take care of them and where they come from and on and on and on, so that the children, so these young women will keep their babies. Well, when he came to my house, he saw this bell, and he said, well, he says, I got bells in my other 2 schools. I want this one here. And I said, well, my eyes lit up, because it would be great to have something in the world, yeah, that you know, something that's grounded, not just PowerPoint. So he flew me over there, and I talked to the bell casters, and I told him, look, this is a unique bell, that it was, it's an etheric bell, because they didn't know what that was, but I told him that this can't be hung at the top. He said, well, that's how they're all hung like that. I said, I know it. I said, you got to make the clapper inside, that's that stem inside, you got to make it so that it's very, very small up here, as small as possible, so this can move, this can vibrate too, not just this. And they said, no, the one design you have won't work, it'll crack. So I said, well, then maybe you just better get a regular old bell. You don't need to use this one. They said, no, we want this one. I said, okay. So I came up with the idea of a spike. A spike like this. My idea was to hang it like that. Then if I hang it by a point, this can and this all can vibrate. The whole shoulder and the whole body and the whole mouth can vibrate, because there's nothing up here deadening this. But I didn't like it because it looks like a lamp with a lampshade. It's so stupid, you know, I'm not going to do that. But I sure liked the idea. So I thought about it, and so finally I had the idea. I would take this rod, okay, that is going down, and split it in half. I divide it in half. And then I would take this half and bend it around to the top, and bend this half around to the top, and then up here, it could swing. And it worked. I made a model of it. They're building it that way. The bell is real. It's huge, just like this. We were there casting it at this conference, and I'll show you what the design looks like, which is the really important part. Here it is. I'm holding it. Now, isn't that cool? The thing can ring just like a regular bell, but it's suspended by a spike, a point. So here's the spike. I U'd it around here like that, and I hinged it here and here. Now the thing can swing like this, and when it swings, it hits the sides. And it can't go too far because I have little breaks here and there, so it can't go off. And it also can swing this way, and it won't hit here because this rod will hit this side. And of course I have Joachim and Boaz, but I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's okay. So here it is. This is the real bell cast. It's huge. Here's the furnace and all these bell casters. And of course, this was a big thing at the college this summer. Hundreds and hundreds of people came. The mayor, he got everybody from Sheffield to come and to see this casting. And it's the first etheric bell. It'll be rung, okay, during all the celebrations throughout the year. And it will ring in the etheric, you guys. It's going to ring in the etheric because it is an etheric bell. And it's the first of its kind, first ever. And what's that?
Didn't you record?
No, see, this thing, it took 4 days to cool down, and I left by that time. And it has to go from here to a turner, where they put on a big lathe, and they find out what tone it has. Let's say it's G or something, and then they turn it so it really brings out the G. Okay, we don't know what the tone will be, we don't know what it will sound like. But they did a little cast bell about this big, and they did 2 of them, but only 1 came out, so I didn't get one. But they put it in their museum, and they put it on a spike, and they rang it, and it rang like you couldn't believe. That thing hardly would stop ringing. You know why? Because there's no restriction. There's nothing dead on it. It just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. And it rang so long, people started to come out of the building, and all of a sudden there were about 12 people around us on this little bell. So it's going to be something else, because this thing weighs a lot. I asked for them to send gold from all over the world. Australia, New Zealand, America, England, everywhere, all throughout Europe sent gold. And I did that by asking everybody to send their first marriage rings. Boy, did they ever come in. Because the ring will transform their first marriage, you see. It'll be ringing.
The bell is made of gold?
No. The bell is 15% tin and 85% copper. And then we're trying to get it up to 1 or 2% of gold, because what gold does is it sweetens the tone throughout the history of bell making. Okay, so people, you know, in the old days in the churches, the Catholic guys got out there and say, hey man, look at your gold, ladies. So they give them their jewelry. So it's a tradition, yeah? But this one was to transform marriages. So one of the things, I'm glad you brought that up, is I'm going to show you something that's amazing about geometry. The bell has 15% tin and has 85% copper. Now, and then it has gold. Okay, now this is what really got me, is because I found out that the blood in our bodies are 15% red and 85% blue. Can you imagine that? I thought it was 50-50. It's not. It's only 15% red. So now what is behind that? Because all my ratios has nothing to do with 15 and 85, you know. I have other ratios and proportions that I work with, but it's not that. I thought, what is going on here? I knew that I had a ratio in my bell on 4:1. So I thought, okay, why don't I try to figure this out? So what I did is I drew one square here. Which was 1. And then what you see, the reason I did this is because, you see, this is subtracting and this is adding. Huh? That's why I see this. Subtracting, contraction, adding, expansion. So I thought, well, why don't I add what's the next size is this? What would be the next size? So the next size would be 2. Now, is that doubled square? No, it's a rectangle, right? You got to make it a square. So to make it a square like the first one, it takes 4 of them, doesn't it? Oh, this is root 4. 1, and a cube. Okay, so this is 2. So this is 1 over here, and this is 4. So I thought, okay, I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to make one twice as big. I'm going to add another one. So it would be like this. You follow my thinking? I'm just doing this. This is what I do.